Hello and welcome, and in this video, we're going to be talking about some of the reasons why I am so excited for Starfield, and we're going to be actually going through and looking at one of the latest trailers that they have released, which is actually a in-game music video for a new Imagine Dragons song called Children of the Sky, which is actually a song for the game itself. Now, obviously, it is not going to play in this video. If you want to hear the song, you're going to have to go over and watch that video, which I will, of course, link in the description box down below, but I'm going to also cover why, as someone that hasn't played a game of this type or of this genre in many years, why I am so excited for Starfield and why I'm actually really excited to also share that with y'all. Now, a lot of my excitement for Starfield revolves around, obviously, the size and just breadth of the game world in general, but I'm also extremely excited to see how the character creation and character customization works, especially once you dig deeper than the visual aspects of character creation and actually dive into background creation and background customization. There are literally so many different ways you can build and design your character, all the way from their backstory to ways that their backstory will actually influence so many different interactions that you will have with other characters throughout the game itself, that frankly, I'm sure it's a game that's going to take multiple playthroughs to fully dive into and digest, and I honestly don't know how many people will actually be able to experience every single possibility in the span of the game, with all of these different, side quests and backstory elements and all of the different ways that we can actually interact with this game world. And yes, while I am aware that there are maybe, let's say, certain people on the internet that are griping about certain details that may or may not have made their way out into the world, my response to those people would be something along the lines of, we haven't played it yet. And if we haven't played it yet, really the only way we can actually figure out whether or not A, it's good, and B, whether or not we like it and it's worth playing is by playing it ourselves. And that's why I'm, for one, really glad to have been able to pick it up on Game Pass, and also I'm really glad to have been able to get the early access upgrade, so I will be able to play it at the earliest date, or at least at the earliest public access date. Now, one of the other things that I'm kind of not only excited for, but that I'm going back and forth on, is how the game will play out in all of the different ways depending on how and where you start, right? And I know I talked about the character creation and the backstory a little bit earlier, but the more I think about it and the more thought that I put into how your backstory will influence your character's future, the more I realize that this game is not only going to be something that you play through, it's going to be something that you will really get lost in. Now, that's not to say that that's not anything like Bethesda games of the past. I mean, if you've experienced Fallout or Skyrim or any of these other games, obviously these are worlds that are designed to draw you in to the point to where the main storyline may not always matter as much to you as other elements of the game. But the more that I look at this game and the more that I get excited for it, honestly, the more excited I am to just enjoy the world itself. And while I'm sure the storyline is going to be wonderful, I think for me personally, the story will probably be a secondary element to the actual exploration and enjoyment of the world itself, and the experience of really living out the role of that character. Because while, yes, this game is very different from what I normally play, I also haven't been this excited for a game in many years. And when I say many years, I genuinely mean that. I mean, yes, there are games within my sort of, let's call it niche, that a lot of people will see on the channel, like, for example, your racing games, your off-road games, things like that, especially in recent years, the more off-road focused driving games and truck simulators and stuff like that. And while, yes, that is a category of games that I do enjoy, it does take a lot these days to get me, exceedingly excited for a game, for a new experience, because, when we see a new, let's say a new trucking game or a new off-roading game, if that is the niche that you primarily game in, I think it's really easy to get, I won't say jaded, but it's really easy to look at it and go, oh yeah, I guess, okay, well, the last version of this came out 1 year ago or 2 years ago, and here we are this year getting the new one, and we're going to play that one because it's the new one and whatever. But this, to me, and this may be a little bit different to people that are very much immersed in this particular gaming niche already. But for me, as someone coming back into this category of game after so many years, it has me so incredibly excited to just dive into this brand new, deep, deep world and experience it as someone coming back into this type of game after so many years. And yes, I do have a little bit of experience with Skyrim and a little bit of experience with Fallout, but I never put as many hours into Fallout as I wanted to, and I put some hours into Skyrim, but nowhere near as much as I wanted to there either. Partially, that's because I'm always busy, but I can definitely see myself carving out as much time as I possibly can to enjoy Starfield. Now, if you've been watching my channel for a really long time, I completely understand how you might be looking at a video like this and going, wait a minute, that's not the type of game you play. Why are you playing this on your channel? Why are you showing this or even discussing this on your channel? That's not your type of game. And to be honest, I kind of want to break away from that misconception a little bit because there are so many different types of games that I want to experience and share with y'all because I love being able to share these experiences and these in-game adventures with y'all here on my channel. And while I, of course, always appreciate all of your comments and all of your feedback, it can at times feel a little bit restrictive when you try to maybe branch outside of the types of games you normally play and you see comments that say things like, oh, this is not your type of game, don't play this other game instead. And when you see things like that, you go, but I am so much more than that, especially in terms of the types of games that I enjoy, because there really is a broad spectrum of games. But unfortunately, due to things like the algorithm and the way the platform tends to learn sometimes, if you do a lot of focus on one particular niche, and that is what the algorithm begins to know you for, it sometimes tends to push you harder in that niche than maybe in a type of game or a category of game that it's not used to you playing. And so therefore, the people that then see that content are people that are expecting other content. And I know that this is a little bit of a deviation from the subject that we were originally talking about, but I did want to kind of get it in there just to bring it up. But now I would love to hear from y'all in the comments down below if you, A, if you are planning on playing Starfield, and B, if you are already planning on playing it, or if you've already pre-installed it, or whatever the case may be, what is the type of adventure that you are wanting to have? Are you going into it sort of blind and being like, well, it's going to unfold however it unfolds, and I'm going to enjoy the story that way? Or do you have a very sort of pre-planned out in your head idea of how you plan on taking on this game world and how you plan on enjoying this game world? Because some people already have their freaking character figured out and they already know, well, I'm going to start by doing this and I'm going to do this with this, and then I want to, make sure that I then focus on this. And then you have other people that you'll talk to where they'll be like, I'm going in completely blind because I want to enjoy it from the standpoint of everything feeling new and everything feeling completely fresh upon first diving into the game. So I would love to know kind of which approach or combination of either of those that y'all watching actually fit into. And can we also just take a quick moment to look at the level of freaking detail that they put in the food? Like, what? This is absolutely incredible. They put this much detail into toast. Like, I genuinely don't think that I've ever seen an in-game piece of toast with that much detail put into it. It's so wild, the lengths that they have gone to in the development of this game. It's actually freaking wild. And with that being said, or rather with all of those different things being said, that is kind of a general roundup of why I am so excited for Starfield. And I have kind of done my surface level research, but I've tried to keep myself from diving like really deep into it, because I want to make sure that there is still a very prominent element of, you know, like discovery and first time experience diving into the game. I'm not necessarily doing so much research that I, know so much going into the game that there aren't really many surprises. I still want to be surprised. I still want to get those, those initial feelings of like, oh my God, I've never seen this before. So I know I'm kind of like just getting excited at this point, but I really did want to talk about this with y'all because this is one of the most exciting games in many years, in my opinion. And with that, hope y'all enjoyed, and I'll see y'all later.